Hey, it's Mike Lincolnoker, and welcome to the Coach and Mike Friends podcast. The podcast is a place full of real conversations with real people and real experiences. As I sit down with others, there's going to be no script, no filter. Whether we're talking about life, sports, win, losses, or lessons learned, there won't be perfect answers, just honest conversations and a few laughs along the way. So sit back, get ready to hear a story or two, settle in, and let's get into it. This is this week's episode of the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. And what's up? It's a good old week we've had. Finally got all nice and sunny. Sunny and 64. Couldn't believe it. I thought I would never see sunshine again. I thought it would never come back. But it's good to have it back, and hopefully you all have enjoyed it the last couple of days. But I appreciate all the support that we've gotten from this. It is awesome. It's just been awesome. I didn't expect all this, but I did. Just because I have good people in my life, and the good people share things and do things for myself and for others. As I'm not kidding, this right here is probably some random person asking me for Medicaid Plan A and B. Hate it. But besides the point, last week's topic got a good little stance about grief and everything. It was pretty nice. I hope you take it. I hope you go back and reflect on it. Look at it if you ever need to. And know that it's okay. It's fine to have that. It's okay to grieve. It's going to hit you. It'll hit you like this concrete back behind me. And it'll just get at you. So just want to take a little quick few seconds to say, hey, thanks for watching the first episode. Continue to stick along and have a little fun with this. So this is the first segment. I'm going to combine both segments of the brewing thoughts and kind of what I have on my mind. And we're going to go with it. So this week I asked on brewing thoughts, what if there's somebody out there that you love, care about, whoever, it could be any situation. It could be a friend, it could be a coworker, that they do something small for you and they understand and realize that they maybe not know that it means that much. That small little thing means much. So I got a lot of comments back from that. And then another thing I'm going to take from that, we're going to use it here in just a few minutes. But you're going to see later in the part of the podcast where I tag along with my good friend Slayton Beard. And we talk about that, about how small things in our life and how that matters and everything. So I'm going to follow with that and say small things in my life are the absolute routine of who I am. I've done the small things that lead to bigger things in my life. And it's just who I am. It's my routine. It's what I do. It's my ADHD, per se. I'm a repeating old record player when it comes to, hey, do the small things can lead into that bigger picture. And sometimes that annoys people, and sometimes it makes sense for people. And sometimes people just think you're a silly goose, and that's perfectly fine and okay. But I think our generation does not do good at that. And I say my generation, I'm 31 years old. I don't think our generation does that well. To take in the small things and respect it and use it and take advantage of it. And that to be able to, appreciate it. Because a lot of times you don't get that because not a lot of people do it. I appreciate the small things that seems like they don't go unnoticed from my wife, from my friends, from my family, from my coworkers. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I try to pat that back as much as I can because, I am a lot to deal with. I know it. And that little small things that they do, keyword patience, that's a big thing. That's a very small thing that somebody can do daily for someone, and it means more in the world, especially to me. It can mean more in the world to that person. It's just a lot of little things that you could do to make a bigger picture for yourself, for others, and it can make everybody's life easier. So to get more of the story of the point, do the small things in life. It makes the bigger picture look like Leonardo, whatever famous painter. It can look like him painting the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa of life is doing the small things for the bigger picture. It's just simple as that. I just really wish more people my age took that for granted and really took it all in and just breathe. If you take care of those small things and breathe, your life is going to be a lot easier. Make that part of your routine. Make it routinely that those smart things are just what's a part of your life. And if so, I think you can breathe a lot easier. Now, I'm not going to tell you that doing the little small things is going to fix what's going on in your life. No, not at all. But it might help. It might ease things down. It might be your peanut butter and jelly that you didn't know you needed. So, but yeah, that's my thought. I don't know how much further I can go into it without pulling out Dr. Phil call. But I'm going to go into the brewing thoughts. And like I said, what I shared on there was, on the brewing thoughts, is that what's something somebody does for you that it goes a long way, or it goes to where like it's that you notice it, but you continue to make it like you don't notice it, and things like that. And one of them was, this is my favorite one. I'm going to start off with it. Helping me clean in any way without asking, but hearing my husband play with my kids and laugh melts my heart. That's like the coolest small thing that I saw, and like how warming that is. That's so awesome that, she takes that little small thing, probably that's something daily she gets, and it's that little small thing that she just loves the world about. And it warmed my heart to see that. And it was truly cool that she shared that, and that, again, that's a little small thing that will add up to the bigger picture. Meaning, and this is just, again, when I share this stuff, it's just my opinion. But I think what, to me, that means is seeing her kids play with the dad is a longer picture of, hey, those kids are going to remember that. Those kids are going to know, hey, my dad played with me when I was younger. And when they get to their age of having kids, they're going to do the same exact thing. So those little small things right there shows, hey, longer down the road, the bigger picture. Just another example of kind of how I'm telling you the small things of how I try to treat things. Longer down the road, bigger picture. The other thing, cleaning up after dinner without being asked to. That's a blessing. That is nice. And that is wonderful. I'll go with a couple more. Helps me care for my mom so that we can keep her comfortable in our home and not have to consider nursing home care. Shout out to you. And I'm not going to tell who the comments, but CT, you're the man. You are the man. Always have, always will be. Shout out to you, my buddy. He helps me with anything we need and has the biggest, most caring heart. It's just one example, and that is one of the many examples of CT is, of the wonderful person he is. Now, he is an example of doing those small things. He is a great example of a type of man, type of person, even man or woman, the type of person that does the small things like that. He always has, ever since I've been around him. He's just that type of stand-up guy, and just awesome to see that comment. He cleans off the stove in my car and makes sure I have a clear path to get before he leaves for work. Even if he's off, he gets up and still does it, just for me. Small things can be sweet and kind, just like that. That's where a lot of the times they come in, and they can come in other situations. But a lot of times it's just that little sweet and kindness that just, it's noticed, but definitely doesn't, it definitely is not being, hey, thank you every time, and such like that. Another one, he goes to the grocery store and helps me with laundry. That's a huge help, and it's very appreciated. It's just wonderful to see all these. And last one, loves my family, treats me with love and respect, and actually enjoys being around them. That's a blessing in disguise, and it's quite nice to have that. And but to go with all those, those are very small things that you can do. Those didn't cost money, besides maybe one, paying for a shovel, or doing a little paying, like even on paying the groceries, but that's just something together with money. Um, but all those don't cost a thing. Being human, doing little things like that, does not cost a thing. It's the freest little thing to make somebody's day. So I'm going to end that. Next up is, again, the wonderful time I had with my great friend, my buddy, my old brother, Mr. Slayton Beard. And this was the Brewing Thoughts segment. And, I like to keep it short and sweet to the point. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've had a great week, and hope this on Friday, seeing this is making the end of a good week. So, again, have a good day. See ya. Coach Mike, out. Hey, be somebody that somebody needed today. Do small things. Be kind. Okay? Peace. All right, what is up? This is the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. This is the first part of the segment, so that I get to have a first guest on. Him and I have talked about it for a while, and it is cool to get him on here to chat and see what we all can really discuss. Him and I can just have fun, discuss, and jabber. Um, this is Mr. Slayton Beard. He is just a one of a kind guy, and he we have had some fun. We had some great conversations, and we haven't done it in a very long time, but we made a good point of having coffee together on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and it helped a lot with my mentality, and it probably did his too. He'd probably say the same thing. And we're just here to talk about sports, talk about real life situations, and just talk about anything in general that we think that might have like a good idea, a good thing about things. So um, I'm gonna go ahead and get you started. I kind of just want to tell everybody, like, what you do on a daily basis, like work and everything, and kind of what you're involved in and all that.
Yeah, I teach PE and coach a little football and teach driver's ed, and it's pretty much it, man. That and hanging out with the family.
Yeah. I know we were talking earlier, and when I called you about it. And the big question and I'm gonna get it all started, is how do you really work yourself with work life balance? I know you're really good about, you have your days, you find time to do what you need to do, you find time what you need to do professionally, you find what time you do in another aspect of like the coaching profession. And you find time for the wife, like you're very good about that schedule, at least from our conversations. So what makes that balance for yourself?
Um, I think just leaving work at work, or trying to
Yeah,
separate the two a little bit because they're involved, but um, there's nothing better than after you've dealt with some teenagers all day, coming home to, a toddler that's a little crazy and a little wild, but in a different way, you know.
yeah,
And he's usually happy to see us too. So the kids at school usually aren't because they're in school.
yeah,
So yeah, just leaving that there and coming home and just trying to make the most of every evening, um, because he's usually wild. We're trying to get dinner ready. He's either in a great mood or in a terrible mood, one of the two. There's
yeah,
usually no in between.
yeah.
So just trying to, you know, um, we care about our jobs,
Of
and we
course.
like our jobs, but yeah, just leaving it there, just leaving school at school and trying to, you know, just have fun and do our thing when we get home.
Yeah, I think one thing about our generation, we do a good job at that. I think
For
it's
sure.
because we've seen our parents do that, and we didn't want to do that at all. I
Right.
think we've done a very good job at that. Um, I had a big problem with that, and you and I discussed this before. I had a big problem with that during COVID, and it sucked. It really pushed me to a no other end. And And I don't recommend that for anyone. Like I try my best to not bring anything when I walk through that door. And now, like, I saw a TikTok the other day. There's reasons why people sit in their car for 20, 30 minutes before they walk inside their door.
Oh
Because
yeah,
because
yeah,
and it's just proven fact. Like you don't want to bring that energy here. Like you don't want to bring like if you had a crap day, like why do you want to bring it to the place where it's supposed to be your peace? And
right.
and
We do
and
that
and
too
I
sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I mean it's the whole aspect, like, when I give you phone calls or anybody else phone calls on my way home, I'm just trying to, relax, kind of talk, not think about my day, and kind of make me a sidetrack of, not that I have a crappy day every day at work, but I mean, it can be that, and it can be that for anybody. And I tell people all the time, like I don't bring work home. If I do, then it's noticeable. It's asked, why are you having a bad day? And it's usually the routine of work. So I recommend that to
Yeah.
anybody.
I think it just helps make you realize that the your work is important, but it's not. You weren't meant to spend all your time on that. There's
Correct.
other things going on. So we still do that sometimes. We'll take him out of the car seat. He'll come up and hang out in the front seat and beep the horn, and we're just parked in the driveway hanging out, and he'll
Yeah.
beep that horn, man, turn the turn signals on, and it kind of puts us back in the mood of, oh, we're home. Like
Yeah.
that stuff we talked about on the way home doesn't really matter now.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And I just hope more people realize that. But again, also, I think our generation does a really good job at that. Um, and if you don't, you need to start. Like it will kill you. It will get to the point where it just eagers you on. Like your home's supposed to be your peace, the way that you relax and not have any issues from the outside world.
Right? Yeah.
So my next topic, we're gonna kind of go flip it to sports related, but still coaching. Um, I asked myself this while I was waiting for you to get on the other line. When did you start? What year did you start?
I started well, kind of probably similar to you. I consider it coaching, but it wasn't really kind
When
of
you're
right
helping
out of
your
high
dad?
school. Well, yeah, I spent a lot of time with him when I was a
Yeah,
kid. He coached for
yeah,
30 years plus.
yeah.
So he made me the water boy when I was a kid all the way up to
Of
middle school,
course.
basically. So, um, so I had a lot of fun with that, and that's where I fell in love with the game and just the whole concept of football and everything. But right out of high school, after my first year at state, I kind of started to go back and help him film and stuff. My uncle was helping him film at the time, and
Yeah.
then he went on to some larger coaching roles, and I started to help him film and do that kind of stuff. And so I started then, but officially coaching, I started at Riverside in 2019.
That's
It
what I
was the
thought.
season right before COVID happened.
Yeah, yeah. I am. I started right when I got out of school. Kind of got asked to help out with baseball, and then kind of led me to do a little bit more with the football, and then also did what I did with basketball. But it was just more there for moral support. But in the baseball aspect and football aspect, I did that right after high school. Um, but I bring that up in all that, and you started at 19. I started right in 13, 14, and I and you in right now, you this past season, you took a little bit of a hoosh of a break, and
Yeah,
this past season you started back in middle school.
yeah. I've
So
never coached middle
you
school until
yeah,
last
and
season.
you kind of took the. I went from a little bit of high down the middle for a while, and then went back up to high with you for that one season. What was
Mhm.
the biggest transition you think you had? Like, and I probably know your answer because we discussed this. Uh,
Yeah.
but 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 what's your biggest transition that you went from? high school all the way back down the middle.
Well, some things you don't think about a kid not knowing how to do. Uh, in high school, you expect them to know how to tie their shoes and put on their pads correctly, and even their helmet.
Yeah,
Like I was telling somebody a little bit ago, it might have been you and I talking, but you know, I had a kid that, and it's not his fault. He never played football, but he would take every single buckle off of his helmet
yeah.
every time he
Oh,
took his helmet off.
I have. You have no idea how many times I had that situation. I probably had that at least once a year when I did middle school.
So, so a lot of it was just like learning what I didn't, figuring out what I didn't know that they didn't know,
Yeah,
and trying to facilitate that. And that kid actually, he ended up doing really well for us. Towards the end of the season, he was starting. Now
yeah.
you know, I'm not going to say he was the best player in the world, but he gave effort every single day. He was
Awesome,
learning, and
awesome.
and by the end of the year, he got a lot of game time, and he never played football before.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the biggest things, is just recognizing that they might not know some things that you take for granted that you already know and you expect them to know. That was one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, I think every year when I went to middle school, um, I had an expectation of I got to start from A and make my way to Z every year. It didn't matter if
Yeah.
I had the same. It didn't matter if I had the same kids the year before. I had to redo it all over again. They knew the
Yeah.
kids that were there had my expectation and had our expectation of what we ran, what we did, what we would call, what and such and whatever. The
Hmm.
consistency part of that was there, but you still had to go from plan A to plan Z, and I recommend that for every level. You go that from bitty ball down to middle, down to high, down to college. Like you just start yourself over because you don't know again like you're gonna get new people. And you don't know again what exactly who knows what and what they know. And somebody that might have been there with you for 3 years might have completely forgot that this is how you like to do this, or this
Right.
is how you're
Well,
being taught.
yeah. And at the end of the day, you got to think like these are middle schoolers. This probably isn't the biggest thing happening, even though they're enjoying
Nah,
themselves in
yeah,
their life.
exactly.
This isn't the biggest thing that's happening. They're just enjoying it while they're there.
Yep,
And, there's when they leave that field, at the end of the day, they have a million other things on their mind. Whether
yeah,
we think about those same things, absolutely not. But I just try to put myself back into my middle school shoes
yeah,
and think like, how would I remember this step? How would I remember this hand
yep.
placement or this play or whatever? And we didn't have the best season, but I think they had a lot of fun playing the game,
And that's the
and
most important in that time
a
frame.
lot of them learned a lot that they wouldn't have known about themselves
Yeah,
prior to playing.
yep,
So I think that's the biggest part: learning fundamentals, learning that the game is fun, and that you can start as a novice and get better at something as you go. And like you said, a lot of them will forget it by the time next year rolls around, but they're middle schoolers. You know,
yep, yeah, yeah. That was always my big thing, and I think it's what not made like again. We didn't have. I mean, we had a good probably like it was towards the end of my time with the middle school. We had a good little run, but we had a good little run because we had kids from sixth to eighth grade, and it was consistent. They understood what we wanted, what they did, and they implemented that from every year. A new eighth grade would come up with the seventh and all that. They knew what we wanted. They understood. They said, "Hey, this is how things go."
they bought into
And
what you were doing.
correct, yeah, and it was nice. And I'm gonna go with that too. And this has nothing to do with you all and where you're at, but it does help when the little league has something, and it implements
Mm,
very same different values and everything, and
right.
that makes and that makes a bigger aspect than what people understand. And
Hmm.
it's not that like you should run the same scheme. It should be something similar to what middle school and then the high school is running. It all should be very similar, or something to where it could be a simpler version to mirror when they get to wherever. But
Right.
it should all have the same idea and standard that you all are doing. And I think a lot of kids, I say kids, but a lot of parents that are volunteering and such right now at that age, they're understanding that they have to do constant basics, because
Right.
and just like you said, it probably shocked the crap out of you that kid had never played a day of football, or another thing of a kid had never played, or that has played a while and didn't really know what to do.
You
And
know, yes and no. I feel like um, I think we in our area of the UKV, and we've had a lot of things taken, like Little League baseball. Like
correct,
um, we used to have Valley Rockets and Golly Bridge Colts and stuff
correct.
for football, Little League, and like
But to
I
pause you
I
there,
feel
look what you all had in that time frame
right,
compared to what
right.
now.
We had Well, we grew up playing ball together,
Correct.
and so like you're saying, like it creates a culture. It's not necessarily learning everything about the game. It is
Exactly.
learning stuff, but you're hanging out with the guys,
Yep.
and you're getting that team is growing up together. And when you do that, you develop a culture that is successful, a winning culture, something that we've had missing in our area for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts at the bottom. And you see it like I tell people this all the time, and I it's just because I respect the guy. But over in Independence, back in the day when we played, we could whip them up anytime we played them. And now, they're a powerhouse because it all started at the bottom. When he got over there, he went from down to
Hmm.
the bottom up to the top, and it's made it usable and reasonable from that. And I just think that's the big thing. I just wish people will get out of that. And if they hear this, great. I hope they do. Is that you have to take that younger age, make them enjoy it, want to do it. If not, by the time they get to middle school, and there's some parents that don't want their kids to play to middle school, and that's perfectly fine. I've
I
had
wasn't allowed to
plenty.
play until
Same.
middle school.
Well, same. I was more of I was allowed, but I was too big. I weighed too much, and
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember.
literally, literally the year that I started middle school, they're like, "Hey, the weight thing changed. Why don't you play midget league?" I'm like, "No, why would I do that?" And what it
Right,
was too, my sixth grade year, I was the water boy, and I got to practice. Like, I did not do this, but I got to practice, or kind of learn what was going on. So a whole
yeah.
year,
I definitely didn't do that either.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So I got to do things like that, and it got me prepared. Now, had I
Well,
never played a single, go ahead.
you got to get the feeling of what practice is,
Correct, correct.
how it operates.
There's a huge difference than me playing, at a high school football game with my buddies over in the little rock pile, than compared to going on the
Right,
field learning and everything.
right.
And
We were probably over there at the same time if you were playing
exactly,
Valley.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So,
yeah. Me
so
and
it's,
Eric McGinnis and Drew Bowen would have been over there.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't know the game. I loved the game when I was a kid. Loved watching it. Loved being it. Wanted to do it. I constantly would go play football any chance I got with my buddies.
Right.
Besides, because I couldn't
Yeah.
win midget league.
Well, all your friends are doing it.
Correct. It,
One of the things I look back on being the water boy for my dad and those Valley teams back then, I look back and think, man, I thought those high school kids were grown adults, and I thought, man, these kids are like the best people in the world. And they
yeah.
treated me great, you know. So that made me, and seeing them play, even though they went when I was coming up, they went through some down years. couple good years, but some down years. Even though that was happening, I still saw them playing the game and having heart and trying on the field, and just it makes you want to play football.
Yeah, and it makes you show that, hey, like if they can do it, I want to do it. Or like
Right.
I had that little moment of too of like I was like the not like the mascot, but where I had the flag and everything. Here's old Vineyard.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I remember you. Yeah.
but they
But
but yeah, I had that even too. Like just that was the only thing I could do. I couldn't play football, so I just used that route.
yeah,
And
and that's a great route to go.
yeah, it was. It was a fun time.
But
I'll still, yeah,
these kids in high school today, I think about a lot of my classes and the kids that I've coached and things like that. And I'm sure those kids that, were playing when I was a water boy probably didn't realize this, but they were the example.
yeah,
It's very important to have a group of guys that these younger kids can look up to and say, I want to do that. I want to play for Riverside or Trail or Oak Hill or whatever it is.
yeah,
I want to play for them because I like these guys. Like these guys are cool.
yep.
And
They were
that's a
they
big
were
part. That
the
goes back to what you were saying. The community aspect of it.
yeah. Yeah, it's a big difference. And that's the thing too. And I've talked about this for years. There needs to be more local camps and stuff. Nothing made a kid happier than getting that freaking T-shirt. Number one, number two, just hanging around with the high school kids while they're at camp, having a little fun with that, eating a
Oh
random,
yeah.
eating a random bologna and cheese sandwich, and just enjoying the time that you had there from 8 to 12 o'clock. And
Oh
then
yeah.
and then and I don't think I'm gonna say this out loud, and if any of my coaching buddies say this, make time to do that.
Yeah.
I'm more than glad to help out with it, but make time to start doing that again. That is what helps bring kids in. That is what helps make them. Hey, you might get a random kid that loves to play basketball, and oh my God, his mom needs to go send him somewhere. So hey, you're gonna go to football camp and see what you can do, and
Well, yeah. Well, I
and
think
and it just starts a different spark that you might get one kid that never played ball before and he's in third or fourth grade and somehow he's like, oh my God, this is awesome, and oh my God, my buddies are
right,
here, there's more friends here.
right, exactly. And like they spend that time, they do fun things. Summertime would be a perfect time because with
Yeah, it is.
all the flex days that we have now, like those could be days when you go in, you lift, and then once you're done lifting, the kids show up, you go out to the field, you run some drills, you throw balls to them, you run them through kind of how practice was like, and then you do some fun
Yep.
things. And that's the perfect time because parents want their, like you were saying, want their kids to be doing something and not sitting there playing Fortnite and hanging out in the
you
house all
could
summer.
easily you could easily get a bus and they can be picked up saying, hey, I need picked up here, here, and here. Easily get some bus drivers on this. You could get the board approve of it, anything like that. It can happen. It's just and maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I feel like there's time for that. If you have time to make three different practices for kids to go have a flex day or have this and that, you can definitely make a Thursday and Friday a time frame where it's not the X's and O's on this that hey, I need a practice to make myself better. No,
No,
this is going to make the player better. Make them understand that hey, like again, you have these little ones that are looking at you and appreciating you that you took time out of
right,
your day to talk to them, to be there for them,
right.
to throw them a football.
Yeah.
They'll never forget that.
And they pick up on the little things, man. It could be,
Yeah.
you know, 6, 7, whatever, whatever. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
exactly. Yeah.
these kids know the trends, and the high school kids do them. When they see them doing something fun or cool or funny, they love it. They can't get enough
Yeah.
of it.
Nah, nothing at all.
But that
Um,
goes back to the community aspect of it. I think one of the reasons we're seeing so many transfers is because there's just a low sense of community.
Dude,
And,
I was gonna throw a different way into another subject and then come back to it, but let's just
okay.
hit on just like you just. Let's go ahead and hit that on it. Again, you and I have had wonderful discussion of this, and
No.
you know what could have been and not been in some situations with what's been going on. Um,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
share my I'll share my topic. Do I think it's good for high school sports? People are gonna maybe not like this, but I'm gonna say in situations, yes. I'm gonna give you an example. Young man I watched grow up ever since he was a baby in diapers. He had an opportunity to where his suddenly his coach had left due to some family issues, and he knew that his season might not be the best team wise. This is just me speaking opinion. This isn't what he's told me or anything, folks. This is just my honest opinion. What I think has happened. And then he decided he had the ability to go to another school for baseball season. And he did that, and I think that helped him overall become a better baseball player doing that. So there's those situations like that. Another situation I think is nuts and crazy is that there was a kid that played for Woodrow for, and I think he played in the state. I think they lost in soccer for the state championship. Literally the
Hmm.
next week, he transferred to Shady Spring High School to play basketball.
Yeah.
Now that is stinks a little bit of BS. That I
Right.
don't get. I don't understand. I get like if you're trying to make yourself better for basketball, if that's your sport or whatever. But it seemed like the kid's sport was soccer. Again, I could be way wrong. The other thing too that is around that area too is you can live. I could be wrong. People might correct me. You can live out towards Shady Spring and still go to Woodrow as long as that was your first school choice, and then go to your back to your home school. And that's
Sure.
kind of how that other situation worked for the young man I was speaking earlier. Um, but overall, do I think it's crappy? Yes. Can it be good in the way I just said it? Sure. Should it be like that for high school? No. Um, I just think that they need to get back. I think they could just do what they used to do, and that is that if you move somewhere or whatever, or if you're like in a certain time of a mileage or area where you can go have a better opportunity, I think you should go do it. Because it's always happened. It's just now it's
Yeah.
just like NIL. It's free range. It's always happened.
It's nothing.
Um,
Yeah. It's nothing new.
no,
I
but go
think.
and throw your take because I'm ready. I'm ready to hear this one because I know you and I've talked about it.
Well, I think the biggest thing when you talk about this, in my aspect, is to remember that they're kids. Um,
Yeah,
and I remember having a conversation with my dad, and as an eighth grader, I thought I knew everything, and we had won the county championship, and pretty sure it was against you guys. I don't remember. Maybe I was in seventh grade.
yeah,
And the high school wasn't doing that great. They were having a couple down years when we were starting to come up. And I
yeah.
told my dad, like, I want to go to Riverside where it's AAA and this and that. And I thought I knew everything, and I really didn't know anything. But he basically, we had this long conversation. He said that no, first of all, that's ridiculous. I teach here. Your mom teaches here. There's no way you're not going here. You know what I mean? Like, so there's an aspect of my own personal thing that's not a lot of
Correct.
kids don't. That's not can't relate to a lot of other kids.
Yeah,
But I also didn't really know what was good for me. I'm a kid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm a child. I'm just going based off of things I see in the world. Um, with the transfers today, I feel like it's a very complex situation
It is.
because of things that, like you said, like your coach leaves or family moves or something like that. That happens, and a lot of people are moving away from the UKV. It's just kind of even West Virginia in general.
Yeah,
Um, but it's a complex thing because I just speaking from Riverside and things that kids have said to me is, you know, it doesn't really matter who the coach is. They want to win, you know, and I get that feeling because that's kind of why I said I wanted to go to Riverside because at that
Correct.
time, 2007 ish, they were doing pretty well, and Valley was doing pretty bad, and I thought AAA they're doing great. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Um, what I didn't recognize at that time was we had a lot of good guys in our community coming up, a lot of guys that worked really hard in the weight room and practice, whatever. I didn't recognize those things. I just kind of saw the flashy thing, you know, over here down the river. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
I think the flashy thing is what kids see a lot of
Yeah.
is, you know, just as an example, um, you could use Nitro as an example. You could use G Dub. These programs have G Dub's been good for a while. I mean, they've always had pretty good seasons, even if they were having a down season. You know, you
Even them
see these
losing three
flashy
games is a
things,
good year.
right? And you want to go be a part of that because as a kid, and I'm just thinking like I thought when I was a kid, that that looks good to me,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, it when we were coming up, it was I didn't play little league football, but I played baseball with all these guys.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it was better for me personally because I grew up with these guys. We put a lot of work in. We had some success. We were never state champions, but we loved playing together, lifting, competing, and looking back on that, I mean, it was the best. You know,
Yeah.
got 30 guys in the weight room just getting after it every day is it's a crazy
There's
thing,
probably
especially
like,
for us.
and there's probably a side, like a science above that, or like a study or whatever. But people don't understand. Like, I've even seen some, more of the girls aspect locally where they're in the weight room and how much it's making a difference for them. And
Makes a big
they don't
difference.
get it does. And you've preached on it. I've gone it from you and preached on it myself over the years. And every coach that I've worked with had whatever immediately weight room was where we wanted all the time. And I told someone this a couple weeks ago. I was like, I can't lift like I used to, but man, I would like to lift like I used to with my buddies because
Right.
I had and it's not that like I don't have that encouragement for myself. And again, that's just like I told you with the life work balance and stuff. Um, it's more of, there was an aura. There's an aura about that. It's just like military or anything like that. There's an aura about being together, working together, doing things to get one thing accomplished. And at the end of the day, like we, did you ever make it past the first round?
Yeah. Let me think. I think my junior year we drew a home game, and it was against Meadow Bridge, but we were
That's
playing
what I
at
thought.
Tech,
Yeah, that's
and
what I
Tech
thought.
wasn't SSAC certified, so we played our home game at UC, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
But we beat them, and then we went and played Williamstown. They whooped us.
yeah, yeah.
They were really good.
Man, that's a little prime of a piece. I remember our game when we played them. We had a nice we were about to we're I think we were either tied or close to it or something, and we dropped the punt and they took it back and scored. I
They
can't
were
remember a
always
lot of it.
good. They're still
Yeah, they
good.
still are. Even though I
Um,
think they had a down year this year though.
well, they got
I,
reclassed, didn't they?
yes, yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I think they're
And
double.
that makes a huge difference
It does,
because pulling up to their school and seeing that they got 65 kids playing at a single A
dude. I
was
mean, our locker room stuff. You'd walk. Did you walk up into the gym
I don't know
that
if
they
I
had?
don't remember the gym. I don't remember.
Well, we walked around. We got there super early, and we walked up to this gym, and then we walked up this other little like ramp. They had just a massive room above the gym for wrestling. It was
Oh yeah,
insane. And
Yeah.
I'm like, my gosh, like they're putting money into it like it's private, but it wasn't. And
Right.
and again, that's another community aspect.
Oh yeah.
When
Big time.
and and you know, like where was I going with that? Oh, but you I've never been so I even told myself the other day, man, I want to have that feeling one time, like just to be in a championship game, be close to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To give, but not me have that feeling, but have that feeling for other people for the rest of their lives that happened. And and
Right.
and I don't know why, like I got like not like emotional earlier. I thought about this on Monday. But like I just seen these guys from the Seahawks, and they just like they were just so humble about their winning, and
Hmm.
it's like they never done anything like that before. Even though they probably most of those guys probably won some type of high school championship, or they won some type of something in college. They had something up their belt, and I it just more of a. It's not that it's a feeling that it wasn't ever there, but man, I don't know what that feels like, and I would one
Yeah.
day
Well,
love to have that again.
and I think that's what a lot of these kids are looking at when they transfer is, again, I use Riverside because um, it's where I've been. It's, I've coached, I've taught,
Yeah,
but we've been down for many years in football, especially, and kids see that, and it's a lot easier to say I want to go here instead of I want to be the one to build this up,
correct.
and and building something up takes a lot of work and a lot of variables and a lot of things that
It
isn't
takes
in
a
their
lot of
control.
courage and patience
Yeah, I
for
mean, but you
for, for a young man to do that, to want to be a
right,
part of that, to want to do that, especially
right,
at a time where like the thing too, dude, is this like I wish more kids understood this too, and again we if people only knew all the stuff we've talked about like this, but
yeah.
I wish more kids understood like now they're getting bigger opportunities to go Division 2 now these days, like
Oh,
they're and
there's so many.
like yes, take it. Like take what you have and just have it. Like the goal. It'd be great. Like if you have a great time at Division 1, cool, great. I'm glad that you enjoyed your time and you made what you had. But if you can go Division 2 and you still have that urge to go play ball, that you want to go be on that other side, do it. Like it's not
Mhm.
gonna hurt your feelings. Like you're not if you will make if you somehow are gonna go to the NFL, and by all means, like I hope anybody that you have I've coached gets to that level. But but I mean that's always somewhat the goal and a fun thing to say. But mainly what I'm saying off that is like you're not gonna make it probably, and that's perfectly fine. So
Yeah,
why waste if you
absolutely.
still and if you still have that urge of hey, I still want to play and I don't really keep want to sit back on Division 1 and I might have to wait for three people to get hurt for me to even get an opportunity. Like no, like go enjoy it somewhere else where you can have your peace, maybe make something of yourself, and you might get a call to a random combine and voila,
Oh yeah,
Juju Savisu from Glenville State is currently at the combine, and he's from
This-
East Bank WV. I
yeah.
mean, and
Well, the reality of it is there's only so many spots, Division 1.
correct,
There's only so many spots. Those spots come open and from time to time, but the reality of it is, and parents don't like to acknowledge this, but every kid is not D1. Now, that's not to say that when you're 15, you're not that good, and by the time you're 20, you may be a lot better. You might have hit a growth spurt. You might, whatever,
correct.
hit the weight
Yep,
room really hard.
I've
And
seen
you
a
may go
kid be
there.
a horrible freshman and junior, and my God, somehow came out a senior year and got an offer.
It happens. It
Yeah,
happens. But, like you're saying, even if you're not necessarily D1 at the moment, if you go to a good D2 school, go play football, go do your thing, lift the weights, work
Yep,
hard, there's no telling from there who could see you, who could, Indiana might need a running back or,
exactly.
whatever, a lineman.
It's just like
And you might,
there was a young man from Oak Hill, played at Fairmont, starting running back. He was like a running back, wing back, H back. He did a lot in the offense. He's playing at Fort Atlantic this year.
yeah,
He played 3 years at Fairmont, and he got transferred to Fort Atlantic. Like that
yeah.
is the
I mean,
proven pudding that I'm telling you right now. And
and that's a
will he go
huge
to the
key.
draft? Yeah, and will he go to the draft or combine? Maybe if he has a good year, sure. But if not, he
Maybe.
gets to experience Division 1 for 1 year and enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. And graduate and,
Heck, he's
um,
living in Miami for God's sakes.
yeah. I mean, and, some of those guys do make it to the league.
Yeah,
It's not, going Division 1 does not mean you're going to the NFL,
no,
by any means,
no. I mean, there's
because
better.
it just gets tougher from there, and there's only so many spots there.
Yeah, yeah. The big thing too, where a lot of kids get drafted at through is, and I love that week when they have it. It's my favorite week. I love the Senior Bowl week when you get all these guys. There's a guy that they picked up from Division 3 that got invited, and he
Oh, yeah.
dominated some people. It was amazing,
That's
and
just the
and
way
it's
it goes.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
it's hard to,
it
sorry.
no, no,
Um,
you're good.
but going back to where this started, it's hard to get a kid to recognize that because they want to be at the top, and you should want to be at the top.
Absolutely.
Um, but there's different ways to get there now, especially with the portal and everything else in college. That not to say I was not D1 material at all. Like that was a hard reality for me. Like I understand it, but it's just something you got to recognize in yourself, and
Yeah,
also give yourself that opportunity first. You know, and then see what happens.
yeah. I mean, and let's not be crazy here. A lot of these coaches that do around this area do coach. They're if they think you're Division 1, they're going to fight for you and put you on Division 1. They will they
Absolutely.
will do tooth and nail to tell you, hey man, you're that legit.
And
And
that's one thing that kids kind of, that's another thing about the transfer thing is that kids think if you're going to Riverside, you're not going to get seen by a college coach. And that's just not the truth.
hey,
We
I'm
played.
gonna pause here, and you're gonna probably hate me for saying this. But when I was with you and Alex, and even when we were good, when I've been friends with Alex before I coached, and we kept talking back through Twitter. Now X, formerly Twitter. Um,
Hmm.
he did an outstanding job as a head coach getting those connections for his players. And if
Oh,
anybody else
yeah.
had something else to say that, then they can say good riddance,
Well,
because he was one of very few in the area that did that.
he
And
was always
and
vouching for him. Hmm.
yes, and not that all coaches do that. That don't do that by all means.
But
They do. But he made it to where they were on the Twitter. He shared this. He shared this player did this and that. It's just a little extra time and effort to do that. And
right.
but he did it with the kids that knew that, hey, they could do something to themselves to get out of that
Oh,
area to go wherever.
right. And also you got to think too, Riverside last year the schedule was changed. It was a little different than prior years, which,
Yeah,
say what you want to about that. I think it's a good thing for the most part.
absolutely.
But if you think about it, we were playing Huntington, Spring Valley, Cabell Midland, the Gauntlet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If, you know,
And you
if
and you never had an off year not playing any of them like that.
Right. So, when Neil Brown flies in just to go to watch White Milam, is that his name? Milam
Yeah, or yeah, something like that. I
play.
think it might be
He ends
Mile
up,
in, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he ends up at a Riverside game and sees kids that play at Riverside as well. Like you got to understand, we're playing a 4A. You know, we're in 4A. Like you're going to play teams where they're getting looks. If they're getting looks and you play well, you're going to get
Yep.
seen, and what
Yep.
you do matters. So
I've, I've always
that's
wanted to
not really
show I've always wanted to show people the water boys or kids the water boy or not water boy, the blind side scene. Like, like, hey, he was nothing and look what happened. Um
yeah.
that
I
type of
mean,
situation.
scouts can
But no,
come.
like you all had a gauntlet, and I said this too when I went coached with you, and I said it before I coached with you. That MSAC was horrible. It did not help a lot of people.
It's
It
a
it
tough
has
schedule.
it is, and I'm glad whatever they've done because they've had to do something to make it fair with the 4A stuff. So
Well,
and you might know more with that because I don't think I've talked to you about that.
we were only a few kids, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but we were only a few kids from being Class 3A.
You are
Um,
correct. No, that's right. You're on the bottom of it.
I would say the next time they class will be 3A.
It should happen
With,
next year.
right. So, you know, that puts us playing this basically the schedule that we're playing now. So the change in the schedule, regardless, I think is good. My first year coaching, there were a lot of games. We got up, in a game with Huntington, we had a chance to win. We competed against a team that was pretty good.
I,
Um,
and I'll say this, and I might have told you this before. I might not have told you this before. If I didn't have a feeling that we could have gone 6-4, 5-5, 7-3 with the team that I know you and I coached together with, I probably would have told you
mhm.
no and said, "Hey, I'll see you on Friday, and I might help you out with film." Um,
Yeah,
but I had a feeling with that. I had a feeling that this could be something, and then this had something. Like you, I don't think people understand. Like when you coach, like you have a feeling that hey, this is either going to be legit or it's going to be for crap,
we
and
had
it
a
was
lot of
going.
talent.
Yeah,
We had a
and
lot of talent that year.
yeah, and that's another off not off camera, but another discussion with other people to be in the room to have that conversation. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that in that aspect where I was taking that is they don't understand that a lot of those games that I was with and whatever, we were two plays away from either going it this way and making it a W or that way making it a loss, and we went
Oh
that way.
yeah. Well, a
And
lot of games we got down early and we had to dig ourselves out of that
correct,
hole. But at the end of the game, you know, that fourth quarter, we were in it.
yeah,
And
yeah. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those that it could have been instead of 3-7, it could have been 6-4, 7-3. There was a lot of that,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
I don't take that bad from the season of it was. It was 3-7. That absolutely sucks. I think we probably could have made it in at 5-5. Um, but and that would have been like an extra win when we played Spring Valley and only lost. I think we lost them by like maybe 7 or something. And then
Yeah.
another, I think we had the other game with Hurricane where we had him right in the fourth quarter and was third in about 12 or whatever, and that's a play that I'd never forget in my life. I tried to, I was up top and I tried to yell it out loud, freaking watch the seam, and you can't just say it loud or whatever, and people just do whatever. They don't pay attention for me up top there, but by golly, the boy did his little jog across and he went this way and the tight end went seamer and caught it,
Yeah.
and they went and scored after that. And if we got that, it was probably around the 40,
Yeah.
and it probably would have punted, made around 20, and our offense was moving. That was one
Hmm.
of the times where we actually had a good offensive day.
I think
And
you might be thinking of Parkersburg
No, 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 no. I'm thinking. I'm
'Cause
gonna
did
tell
we?
you. I know that game too. You're exactly right. Same scenario. The game I think was hurt is it was about on the 40-45, and it was about either the end of the third or beginning of the fourth, and they ran the play where it's the guy just staddles to go like this, and when that guy did, he went boom, and everybody followed him, and then the tight end came around like a little loop and came up down the seam. Um,
Mhm.
and no, the Parksburg game, that was crazy. That should have been another win in the beginning and lost it at the end.
But
And
that year too, we lost a couple games early in the season that were really close, within seven. But then as the season went on and we went through that gauntlet, we started getting injuries
yep,
that it was
yep,
just so hard to replace guys. And once
yeah,
that happened, we went downhill pretty quick,
we did.
because we just didn't have a lot of depth.
No, no, we relied on what we had, not what the back end of we had, because the back
Right.
end of what we had was literally freshmen and sophomores.
Young, not bad players, just young.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's a difference,
Yeah.
and people should realize that too. Um, and like somebody I saw on, I think it might have been Facebook, is there needs to be more respect to the JV guys, and how much
Yeah.
we kind of take it for granted, of how that's
Hmm.
just a thing for us. Um, but yeah, no, I now and to get the quick answer, these kids in high school, I hope they never get paid. I hope they get an opportunity to do like a local ad and like maybe get like a free piece of pizza or something or whatever, like something like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
about that, but
yeah.
I,
But
it's in my heart, in my mind, I believe middle school, high school football should be about being around the guys,
yep,
competing,
yep,
and playing the game you love. And like it's a different generation now,
it
and
is.
it's
It is.
a lot of things
That's
have
what I was gonna say
changed.
earlier. And I want you to take this to your job aspect too. That's what I was saying earlier. I'm having my brain fart. It's the nice crisp Dr Pepper Zero kicking in. Um,
There you go. Work
that
your ad in there.
yeah, yeah, you should, yeah. I'll do my ads all right. Um, if only we get sponsored by Dr Pepper Zero, where it tastes better than actual regular Dr freaking Pepper. Um, but so the kids want now, not later. Like, and that's in everything. So with my job, what I do is I help 16, 24 year olds find work after they leave for my job. And
Hmm.
the big aspect they don't understand is that they want now and not later. Like, oh, I want to make $23. Buddy, you're only gonna make about 18, 20. Maybe next year you might get a raise to $21. And then they might promise you in about 3 or 4 years, once you gain some more experience, you might get to that 23 or $25. Like, well, but
Yeah.
I've done this and that. I'm like, no, you haven't done nothing. You haven't done nothing to earn what Billy Bob has been there for about 10 years, making, see, excuse me, there's Dr. Pepper, making about 28, $30 an hour. And they just don't
Right.
understand that. And, I've told this to people, and I've said, it could be a COVID thing, but I think kids were starting that way before COVID. I think that was becoming a thing before COVID, becoming a little entitled and wanting now and not later. You can blame COVID, enhancing it, but I think that's just still a now thing. It hasn't changed. I haven't seen it change. I'd love for it to change. I wish I could snap a finger and get a kid mindset. Hey, this is not what's going to happen. Like, you're not going to go out there and find that big time job without putting work in.
Well, yeah, and it's hard that the fact, we grew up with social media, but it was different when we grew up. Um, coming up through middle school and high school, like social media was just at its infancy and it was building. But these kids, a lot of times, will see something on TikTok or Instagram or X or whatever, and they see the end result of what somebody has done.
They've
Um,
seen point A where they saw what they're barely doing, and then the end like, oh, I want to do that. but they didn't realize like in that span of what they were discussing took about 3 or 4 years or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20.
Right, right. Yeah, it they don't see the build to what that person
No.
has. They just see what that person has or is doing or is
Yep.
capable of or whatever. Yeah.
And you know that comes back, and I love when I talk to people, and it brings back stuff to where we were right here, and it comes back to here. It talks
Hmm.
about again about culture, about what you believe in, what you think is right and wrong, and that's another big culture thing.
Yep.
And
Values.
yeah, and I don't think they understand that, which is fine. They're gonna learn themselves. Um, but
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, correct me if
Well, I
I'm wrong.
didn't.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, both my parents were teachers, and I didn't want to listen to anybody. I mean,
No,
I
same,
understand.
same.
I understand that aspect of it. I never listened to a lot of my teachers,
I
and I
think
did
there's a
get along.
difference between listening and not doing, or
Right,
not
but
not.
but you're right. You figure it out when you get out there.
Yeah, and I've learned that in the last probably year and a half that that's what I have to tell these kids. Like, hey, I'm here to encourage you, be helpful, be there for you, but you got to do it on your own, pal. I can't wipe your own butt and sniff it too. I mean, it's
Yeah,
as simple
yeah,
as that. I want to switch it up just a little bit of a hair. Um,
sure.
I told you last week. I was talking about a hot topic of grief, and I've talked a little bit about it before when we've had our morning talks of coffee and everything, and that whole situation with myself. And that was my topic. And this topic this week is, the small things. What are the small things in life that you appreciate, and what maybe somebody else does, and what you do to make life better with the small things? How, and I say this all the time, to, Leland, or to other people, but mainly Leland a little bit, but to other things. What small does small things lead to bigger things for you? Is that a true state? Can that be a true statement for Mr. Slayton Beard?
Yeah, yeah. I think the small things are probably the most important things. To be honest with you,
Yep.
and that goes back to coaching for me. You know, you talk about like, I'm with linemen. I'm just trying to get them to take their first step
Yeah,
a
baby
lot of
steps.
times, and and just to get them to recognize that that first step is everything. Um, Whether it's a bad one or a good one, it's going to make or break a play a lot of times.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, the small things build or the small things tear down. In my opinion,
yeah.
like um,
Throw like
a
a life
little
spec
small.
at it.
What is it?
Throw a little life at it on that.
Well, like if you don't pay attention to the small things, if you just let the small things go every single day, um, eventually it tears. Take something as simple as brushing your teeth every morning. It's
Correct.
important. You don't do that every day. What are you going to have? You're going to have a cavity. All right, like
Right.
it's one of the most simple things you can do as a human being. All right, but doing it is very important. You know,
I
one thing
think
I've
when I
tried to
was
do.
younger, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I mean one thing I was just going to say that one thing I've been trying to do better at. It's a very simple thing to do, but it ends up becoming an issue later in the week. Is just getting the trash out the night before. Like
Yeah, yeah. I have
it
a
makes
big problem with that.
it makes a huge difference in the way the week goes because if I wake up a little late on a Monday and I know the trash has to go out, now I'm on level 10 when I can just be, level 1 and just like, get ready, make breakfast, get out the door, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Instead of worrying
Yep.
about all this other stuff. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
That's exactly what I was going to kind of say, and I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to say what I was going to say is making the small things making be the big part of your life. it's really comes down to the routine of those small things.
Oh, habit,
And
habit.
yeah, yeah, it is. And it's just basic clockwork like this, and this. I don't want to be the person where I'm in a routine constantly and it's going to make me like be a robot. I don't want that. But I want routine of small things in that sort of aspect where it's making my life easier, it's making everybody else's life easier. And they don't and some people don't get that. Like some people don't understand that, you know, it's just how some people are built. We're built like that. And if it makes everybody else's life easier around us, then why don't I continue doing that?
Right,
So
right.
I I that's another big thing that I don't think I said earlier, I think our generation does good about not bringing work home. But I think that's something our generation doesn't do well on is respecting the small things you have in your life and putting it
Absolutely.
to a good virtue and a good value. Um, I don't think they take that very well and very seriously.
Yeah, and what my thing is when I don't take it seriously, it's noticeable in a negative way. And
Yeah, absolutely.
like you say, it makes my life easier, makes the life of my family and the people around me, makes their
Yep.
life easier. So it's habit, you know.
And even if it annoys that person to the aspect of that too, what
Right,
it realizes is that in game that it's happening that it's going to make this much easier if I do it this and that with the
right,
small things. So,
right.
but yeah, no. Um, but yeah, that was kind of the one thing I was going to talk about later on my with the other segment is the small things and what it kind of means to me and the routine and all that. I thought that'd be a quick little thing to that. And then that's kind of like we discussed earlier, that's the Bruin thoughts talk
Yeah.
is what small things does somebody else do. So I told you earlier I didn't get much of a man's, perspective. So what is a small thing that someone you love does for you and she might just not notice? Or and that you haven't like, told her like, hey, I appreciate that or whatever.
Well, you were kind of asking me about this earlier, and you know, I think um, we were talking about routine and
Yeah,
everything. One thing that my wife does every single morning because we drive to work together.
correct.
Um, we drop the kid off together. Uh, you know, one of those things. One thing she does is if I'm making breakfast, she's getting his lunch ready. You
Yeah,
know, um, no, another thing she does in that process is she gets him in the car seat, which is one of the things. You know, I'm behind her at the door, locking the door. You know, and getting his bag, making sure the bag is ready to go. It's a team effort to get out the door.
yeah.
But those little things, because I got fat fingers and putting him in, I can get him out of the car seat pretty well, but
But I
getting him
can't put
in
him
the
in.
car seat
No,
is
yeah, I can't.
is
Yeah, no.
it's a more difficult task for me. So when she does that, and she does it every morning, that's like one of the smallest things that I just like. It makes my life easier,
Yeah,
um,
and
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 we've
it's
kind of balanced that out.
yeah, and it's another thing. Like you've made that balance of the. It goes back to what you and I have talked, and we're breaking it down. That's work life balance. That's number one. Number two, it's a small thing that it just goes. It's not being said of a thank you, but it's a constant thank you because you two are doing it as a team. And
Oh
then
yeah,
and then even the third aspect of that is that you know you're appreciative of that, and then we have that feeling of, hey, you're doing this small thing for me, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to try to you know I don't say the right word, not recuperate. That might not be the right word, but you get what I mean. I ain't no Dr. Phil right here, but
I beg
you're
your
but
difference.
yeah, but you're doing that. You're doing the back of that. You're making up for what you might do. And then they bring up like that whole talk of, well, everything's 50-50, or some days you gotta be 90-10 or 80-20. Yeah, that is right. That sometimes that does happen. But man, when it's
Yeah,
50-50, it's a constant gold of love and happiness. And it's just good to work with and be with. And that's why she's not your wife. That's why she's not the mother of your child. It's more of that friend aspect that you have with your significant other. Is
Yeah.
is that they do have your back and like that, and those little small things, and that hey, what makes your day better and her day better is you make the lunch better. You probably make a better little PB and J for the boy than she does,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
and then she and and yeah yeah and
I make the eggs.
okay.
I
So see,
make
that's
the
what I'm
eggs.
saying.
She makes the lunch.
Yeah, and see, I'm just trying to make it to more of a manly, I guess, standpoint of this is how Valentine's Day special for this week is going to be.
Oh,
It's
nice.
just it's just that us men, I think we do appreciate it, and if you don't, get on that train.
Yeah.
But appreciate the small things that our significant other does. And as much
Hmm.
as, and you're probably going to say this too, as much as we might annoy that significant other, that's another small thing that they do is they take up with us and appreciate us in that aspect of
Right.
all the things that we do. You know, we don't do
Don't
this
get me
extra
wrong.
little.
That's something. That's something we had to work out. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
Uh,
no, yeah, no, yeah. It's not a thing that happens overnight. Absolutely, folks. No,
and
no,
it's
no, no,
going to
no.
change. It's always changing. So like,
Yeah.
there's
But
days.
but but you know that, and you know when you have to do that or you have to do whatever. It's not that like, hey, can you do this? It's more of an unspoken thing, or more of
Right.
a thing that you see that's going on.
And that goes
It's
back to the routine.
yeah, yeah, and it's that too of like it's not that you two have to ask each other to do that. It's
Right.
just more of
Well,
it's
it
more the
it
aspect.
started that way. I
Well,
had to learn. I had to learn.
well, yeah. Well, we all do. We all do. But but I think more I'm getting out of that is don't take 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years to learn that.
Oh
It
yeah.
doesn't take that
Yeah.
long. And,
The quicker you
and
learn it, the better your life goes.
yeah, exactly. People say that term of happy wife, happy life. That is correct. That's 1000% correct. But
Yep.
but happy life together, doing things together, making it a partnership makes it more not the word whole, but if I could pull up ChatGPT, I'd ask ChatGPT that what would that reference be, um, and everything else. I was trying to think. I had another topic earlier that I was going to finish up on. It was going to be more sports related, but you don't watch NFL, right?
Um,
Like
I
like
no
like you do, but you're not as bad as like college. Like college and high
no
school, of course, is your thing.
yeah, and I it's changing now with the NIL and the portal and
Yeah,
but it's still my favorite. College football is still my favorite.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I do watch NFL. I just don't. Everybody asks me, "What's your team?" Especially these kids in school. What's your team? What's your team?
yeah,
I really don't
yeah.
have one. I like a lot of players, um,
Yeah,
and
I used to be like that growing up. I mean, I always liked the Steelers, but man, I love Peyton Manning. Man, I love Don
right,
McNabb.
right. Like how being from Southern West Virginia, how can you say the Miami Dolphins are my favorite team and just
But what it
67?
was is like back in the day, and this is a great example. It's like back in the day, the Miami Dolphin fans were Dolphin fans because when they were really good back in those '70s and early
Right,
'80s,
right.
and
Well, and that goes back.
yeah, and same thing with the Reds. Well, excuse me, Commanders. About said a curse word.
Yeah,
Redskins. Um,
yeah.
but just like that,
Easy
the
to
time
say.
frame of teams loved that because they were winning like that and
Hmm.
and making them think of themselves. And then
But
I
that,
don't know why people were Browns fans, but that's a different story.
well, yeah, that's just not torture. But
Yeah,
everybody was hating on the Patriots being in the Super Bowl again because we went through so many years of Patriot dominance. You know,
I loved
and
it. Loved
but
it.
I'm never a Patriots fan, but I like Vrabel.
Love
Um,
him. Love
I
him. I
think,
mean, right now I'm kind of looking like the guy. I mean,
well, yeah, give or take.
yeah, I mean, he's a very known of the sleeveless person and then the
Yeah,
little things.
he
No,
played.
I love the dude. I just saw a video before we jumped on here. He did the same. He did him again. He was still. that's the thing with him too. Just what I love. I just get so when we go back and talk about everything we talked about, and somehow it brings back up what we were saying. He does the small things. He does routine. He does this. He checks in on everybody. He does all that. And just like at the end of the Super Bowl, he's like, "We just spent 307 days together. 307
Right.
days we did football together. Thank you for doing that. Now go in there. You're gonna be just a pissed off teammate just as much as the other guy. Be pissed off." But the thing he says, we just spent 307 days together. Thank you for spending that time with me. That is an amazing thing to say after you just got your tail kicked and being
Yeah.
so positive in such a tiny negative way.
Right.
And you can't listen, you can be all mad that they're in the Super Bowl, whatever. I'd be more pissed off at Tom Brady because he said he was neutral. He didn't know who he wanted to root for. And I still
Yeah.
think he's like a robot or whatever, but right now or
He's
whatever.
something.
He's just yeah, and
He's
but
different.
yeah, the God bless his soul. But
Yeah.
but like those teams were built just like what Mike Vrabel does, just in a different
Right.
aspect.
Take
And
him. What's the guy coaching at Detroit? What's his name?
Campbell, same thing.
Dan
Very
Campbell.
similar
Yeah.
to very similar to Vrabel, and that's why he's been successful.
I'm not a Lions fan, but
God, I love
I'm a
it.
Dan Campbell fan.
I told
So
you
like
that's
I
where I
want.
should have been. I told you that's where I should have. If I did not get birthed here in West Virginia and I lived with my biological family, that's where I should have been. Correct? I told you that in Michigan.
I think so. Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically, I should be a Lions fan.
Well, all my point is
Oh, I know. I'm just saying for funs and giggles, I would have had a horrible time being a Lions
for a
fan
long time.
until yeah
Yeah.
until he came in.
Yeah.
And that's the other
And
thing too. Like to bring off that, like there's still some teams that have never even like made it to like a conference championship or never made it to even a hints of getting into the um, Super Bowl. I like another team, and I'm all about these young coaches. Like they're doing outstanding jobs, and I don't know if it's just because they can connect. I don't know if it's a lot of these young coaches, they're former players, and they just have a great understanding of how to work with men and how to be men with other men, and have a good mutual understanding. Like I'm if that I can coach you up, and you're going to take it, and if not, then you're not going to be a part of it. Um,
mhm.
but but I like the Jaguars this year. I really loved them. I loved watching them. It was good to see
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence finally do something himself, and
Right.
I can't think of his. I know it's. I think it's Cohen is his last name. I can't think of his first name, the head coach. But he
Hmm.
pushed him. He pushed him to a level of like, dude, I'm gonna be on you like a freaking hot pepper in your throat. I mean,
Right.
he got onto him, and I don't think he never had anything like that. There's a difference between getting onto him and everything, but he was publicly getting onto him like you shouldn't have done that. That was horrible. Like during the game, and it kicked that extra little fire that he had, and didn't know that he had it in there. He's just a Mr. Smiley Sunshine guy, and
Yeah.
he turned it up another level this year. And I think again, it's just these young coaches are understanding that's how they have to work them, and that's just how they have to be. It's not a who's nice, what's nice show. And I'm gonna take to what I said that, and I hope a lot of the kids that I coached, that I was hard on, um, did understand that I might have been your buddy between this and that, but I always told them, let's flip that switch. Let's flip that
Right.
switch. Let's let's have that understanding that like, hey, like I can do that, you can do that, and that's what I don't know if that's what made me successful, and I'm not saying I was successful, um, but it's always nice when I get messages or text messages and stuff or whatever from kids, or when I see them out in public, immediately they give me a slap on the hand or and then bring me in for a hug or something, and that's the end game there that I appreciate, and you probably do too. You get a big old
Oh
kick out
yeah.
of that one. whenever
But
they come back.
yeah, it's crazy because you see kids and they've grown up and they're working a job and they're being successful in their own lives and
Yeah.
I considered myself a kid when I first started, really, because
Yeah.
I was just figuring
I
things
mean,
out.
dude, I mean, yeah, I was coaching, sure, but really, I didn't start coaching until I was coaching kids that was about 6, 7 years younger than me. When I really got to middle school, when I was coaching in the high school aspect, I was doing a lot of learning what to do and not to do, and a
How
lot
many
of.
years?
I did the high school for 2, and then I started doing both for another year or two, and then I just didn't stayed straight to middle school. Um,
You just said 6, 7 earlier, so I was. That's
Oh,
fine.
you were trying to get that out the buddy. Anytime I hear it, I'll do the little slap. I think it's just slap of a freaking nutsack anytime I see somebody do that or playing with
Whoa,
calendars.
whoa.
I mean that's what I feel like when that happens.
Ah,
You know what? It's been
this.
a hot minute since I've heard 6, 7, so I appreciate you bringing that into my brain.
Well, I I I am, you know, I'm the old guy now, so to these kids, so I have
Yeah,
to keep the trend. I have to keep doing the trends after they're dead, just so
yeah,
they know I'm old.
exactly. Like you're gonna bring back like whenever Vine starts back,
Oh
you'll
yeah,
bring back
yeah.
yeah you'll bring back Vine.
Mine
Um,
was awesome.
Dude, I miss it. I miss it so much. Um, I'll I'll go with this too. I don't know where I was gonna say this. Oh, like shoot, I was gonna say something. I don't remember now. What were we talking about before that?
We're
About
talking
kids.
about yeah, kids that coached and they've
That's what it was.
kind of
Okay,
moved on and
so talking about conversations, I had a conversation with a bunch of kids one time about like I just got sick and tired of like you're being on mommy and daddy too much. And, I told him, like, guys, like, I think at the time I was like probably 25, 26 years old at the time. And they were like 13, 14, 15 years old. I was like, guys, I'm 10 years older than you. And there shouldn't be this big of a gap where like you're like this and I was like this at your age. Like there shouldn't
Mhm.
be a gap. Something happened. I said some more fluent things. And if I had some of my players formally on here, they would probably tell them exactly what I said. Um, but but I just I hope they understand that whatever we did for them was not for me to be a butthole, and
Yeah,
and I think they did later on in years. But I mean, I told you the last 2 or 3 years I coached, I was more a psychologist than freaking a football coach, X and
yeah,
O's. And I
yeah.
mean, making sure did Johnny have a bad day? Make sure I don't say anything bad to him, because my God, he'll ruin the whole practice if Johnny's pissed off. And that's the other thing too. I think kids have a problem with again they don't know how to flip that switch. I mean, hey, I'm sorry you had a crappy day at school. I'm sorry, Miss Telebub that told you in class that you'll never be a thing. That sucks. I'm sorry an adult told you that. Let's take it out here on the field and not piss off everybody else. How about that? And,
Yeah,
and sometimes you just had that have that conversation. And it sucked when you had to have constant conversation like that. And I remember if a kid got pissed off, we would just say, hey, you're pissed off, buddy. We'll leave you alone. We won't touch you. We'll make sure you're
yeah.
okay. Sorry you had a bad day. And then next day, if it's like that, we'll be like, buddy, you got a problem. It's now becoming you, not us. So
It's
figure your crap out. And then hey, if we and that's another aspect about being together as a team is if there's something
right,
wrong, tell us. Tell us. We'll fix it. Like we'll figure out what's the deal. And
right.
I just don't think kids want to talk like that either anymore.
Well, I don't like talking about it. If I've had a bad day, I don't like talking about it.
Yeah.
Um,
But this is
these,
another reason why this podcast is
well,
because of that.
I feel like with the kids, it's such a delicate balance because you're there to coach them. You're
Yeah.
there to help them get to a to develop into a man.
Mhm.
and um, and I think Saban was talking about it, and he had a really good quote, but I can't
I can
remember
look
the
at it.
quote. But he was talking about treating every player fairly, um, but also like every player gets treated a little differently, but you're treating them all fairly. If that
Yeah,
makes sense. I forget
it
exactly what the
does.
quote was. It was really
I
good and it
he
made a
he
lot of
said it
sense.
on. He either said it on game day I think he actually said it on McAfee, um,
Yeah.
on the Friday show. And he had a lot of good one hit wonders this year on game day and McAfee with all that stuff he would say. And
Yeah.
no, it's
A lot
right.
of
Like,
wisdom there.
yeah, big time. And I think this is something just that kids need to have understanding of is like, hey, I'm sorry I treat Tommy a little bit better, a little bit different, because that's what I have to do. And I
Hmm.
trust and you had to have that conversation with them that, hey, like, I have to tell Tommy a little bit more than what I have to tell you because I trust that you can understand and do it. Now, if
Right.
you feel any different and wrong, tell me. But
Right.
know that I've had trust in you to make that difference. And and I just don't. And I think even at our age, if a coach told me that, I'd feel the same way, or whatever. It's just part of the age gap and all that of that aspect. So that's not ever been like I don't think that's like a current issue. I just think that's modern time. That's something with anybody and everybody. With all that, but
Right.
but no.
And I think back to my first couple of years coaching, and you know, I was always under the impression that the offensive line coach had to be the biggest jerk on the team. You know what I mean? And I was just kind of under that impression
And you don't.
and made a lot of mistakes. And like things I
I
wouldn't. I do a lot differently now.
Yeah, and I think you gained out a lot from me when I came with you, and I think you and I gained a lot out of you from that when we were together. You learned, I think, maybe, and that's me just maybe being patting me on the back too much on this one, but you learned with my middle school aspect. I had to teach at a very basic level, and I had to go from plan A to plan C and take that small step. And then when I bring it up to the high school level, like I wanted to do that again because I felt like it was needed and that like these
Yeah.
kids, to me, in my eyes, these kids, I've just got with them, started in the end of July. I thought these kids still didn't know jack nothing, and that's how I
Right.
treated them, and that's how you had to
Right.
treat them. And um, where was I going with that? There's something I was going with that, uh, but I think that that's what it was. So like. If his wife is watching this, I don't know if she's picked up on my show or not. She's always a big supporter of just me myself. But I had a coach by Coach Helmick, and I'm get God, I even talk up his name and I get emotional. He was a big influence of me becoming a coach. Absolutely, probably one of the top three reasons why I wanted to coach. I
Hmm.
love that man, adored that man. Um, he was my best friend on the field. He trusted me a lot. He pushed a lot for me. He made me what player I was, what coach I am in that aspect, and that he stuck up for me. He did a lot of things to put me out where I wanted to, where I should have been and everything. And I miss him dearly. Even after when I graduated and stuff, I would talk to him. I would tell him things about what's going on, and then he got super sick and of course passed away. Um,
Hmm.
but he made practice. He would give you crap. He would tell you you're messing up. He would tell you you're making mistakes. But then he'd pull you over. I love you, buddy. Keep going. And he would tell you how much he
Right.
trusted you. He would show you and tell you on film, I trust that you're going to get this. So this is where we're putting you this week. Or, hey, I trust that this is what we're going to do because you all have an understanding that this is what we can do to dominate this game. And
Hmm.
he used those words. And you can ask anybody, and I hope people that played with him or played for him and everything, know that that's how he was, and that was a big reason why we were successful, was because he had a big belief in that we could do it for him, and it was the biggest, coolest thing in the world that
Oh
we
yeah,
knew that we had his back, and that he had our back, and that like
and
if
you
we
didn't want to let him.
disappointed him, holy crap, we felt like crap.
Right, you didn't want to let him down. Yeah.
No, no, and and this might be the last question for this, and then we'll call it a good night.
My
Um,
phone's on 10, so that's good.
okay, cool. Yeah, but I don't know where mine is. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if this is gonna be fuzzy on your end or not, but it's gonna be good in either way. I've heard you perfect audio, but it's been
Okay.
back and forth on the fuzziness. So, but it's all right, folks. This is why the Coach Mike and Friends podcast is unscripted and unfiltered, constantly, no editing whatsoever, besides fancy old transitions. And also, I'd like to say again, this has been brought to you by Dr Pepper Zero Sugar. It tastes better than regular Dr Pepper. Um, but
Settle down, Joe Rogan.
no, God, dude, actually. Did you see where RFK's wife was on there?
I did. I haven't listened to it
Yeah, I
all.
haven't either. That's an interesting little hot topic. I think that
I
is
don't have
hilarious.
I don't have time to listen to podcasts as much as I used to.
Yeah, I know. If only that's why like I enjoy the reels and the TikToks of them to
Hmm.
bring up the more important points that they've had. But I try to skip through like I was really I think I told you this last week. I was really interested in Matt Damon and Ben Affleck one. I still haven't finished it because it was like almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, that was a good
You might as well
one.
make that. And the
That
thing that
movie
sucks
was great.
too. Yes. I watched it and it was exactly what they said. You had to
Yeah,
stick in.
great.
It was very hard to stick in, but it was also a great movie. Like it was very good from boom, boom, boom. Um, but what I was gonna say is do a lot of kids can you still tell that like you think the disappointment aspect of coaching or even parenting or whatever, do you think like that's still a big thing that like kids hate that they disappoint, or do you think it's still neutral that it's there? How would you look at that, like, and look as a coach and look at it as a teacher?
Um, I don't. That's a really kind of a complicated question for me because I've been teaching now for this is my sixth year, I think. So uh, I it's hard to tell. Some of them, yes. Um, Others, it's hard because they don't care if they disappoint themselves. They don't care if they
Yeah,
disappoint their parents. They
yeah,
don't care if they disappoint the teacher. And I don't know if it's all their fault that that's the case, but some of them just don't care, and they've been put in a lot of situations that make them feel that way.
yeah.
So I'm not
And
saying it's
and you don't
acceptable.
know, and I used to kind of get butthurt over that a little bit to a certain extent. Um, but you don't know the underlining thing until you figure that out, and sometimes you don't want to know about it. And and I think and you agree or disagree when I say this. Is that just like I said, like I was asking earlier? Is that a now thing? Like, is that just became a thing in the recent years, or is it just always been like that, even when we were 10,
I
15 years ago?
I don't. I think it's been a gradual build.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's
but I
good.
don't think
Yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of it is, you know, especially for teaching, even coaching in some situation. Um, the turnaround for teachers, especially at Riverside, is very quick. So
It is a whatever that door's called. I don't know why I can't
it's
think
a
of it.
revolving door.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it takes some time to develop a rapport with these kids and you know letting them know that you're there to teach them, you care about them, you want them to succeed. They don't believe you because they've had so many teachers come and go, they've had so many coaches come and
Correct.
go. So I don't think it's a generational thing necessarily. I think it's probably true in a lot of places, but it's definitely true here that
Yeah,
you have to, and I'm trying to be better at this too. You have to develop that rapport with them
yeah,
so that they know that you're not just going to be a jerk and give them an F and leave. You know what I mean? Like
correct.
it's not about that. And but that a lot of
It's
times that's
when
what they.
the moment of that is in that aspect is when you're out at Walmart or when you're down the road in Charleston, when you're out to eat and they see you, they're going to make sure they say hello to you. And
Yeah,
the ones that and you know the ones that they don't say hello to when they're at Walmart, they make sure to go down the other aisle and miss them.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
I've had some situations at Walmart where kids come up to me.
yeah, and they wouldn't come. They would leave you alone if they didn't like you or not like
Yeah.
you. They wouldn't even
Well,
try. They
I
would
mean,
run around.
you know, in some cases they if they see you first, they do dip, and I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But you know, is what it is. You just got to keep trying to, you know, just you know, there's always that term you can't save them all. Well,
yeah, yeah. And that's a great way to end it. What we're talking about. You can't save everybody. Sometimes you can't save yourself. Um, and if you think you can, then get on that high horse and gallop. Go right
but
ahead.
I'm of the belief that if you don't want to be around me, if you don't like me, there is another teacher in that school
That will
that
make a
cares
difference. Yeah. And
that you like, and that's good.
yeah, yeah. It's not that you're butthurt or you don't give a care about that kid because what you just said right there is like you want to still make tiny small impact and be like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a teacher I freaking know up there and I'm losing my mind. Um, what's our good old buddy with the gingered hair and what?
Proctor.
Yeah, good lord, thank you. Like, hey, I think you and Proctor be kind of cool dudes. Why don't you go hang out with him and talk to him for a minute? And you send like a text, hey, work with this kid. And Proctor would do that. And it's just from, being around him for that little bit and then seeing him out in public still and talking to him. He's that kind of guy. And
Right.
but it's just those situations too that would work out that way. Um and but yeah, no. I'm gonna recap and then we're gonna get off here and but
Sounds
we
good.
did a lot of talking. We've been at it for a little over an hour and a half. Uh,
Yep. That's crazy.
well, a whole lot longer than I thought would be the 2030. We went way over I thought we would, which is perfectly fine. I love it. Um, but that guys, first thing I asked Slayton this the first questions because I love, and not that I don't have great work life balance, in all aspects. I do. Don't get me wrong. But he has it, folks. He does. He makes time for every little thing that he needs for himself, for his wife, for his kid, for his family, for other family members probably too. And for anybody that asks, he makes time for it. And it is a work of magic and just art of what he does with it. And I think he doesn't give himself his own credit, and that's what I'd like to tell him that to give him a little bit of a pat on the back. Is that's why I wanted him on here. Is to know that he does that, and that you should start doing a little more of it too, because it's healthy. It's what gets him by. It's what makes him by, and that it's okay to have that. It's okay. Maybe some days you do bring it home, and we take that and we bring it to the small things in life. Both and I agree, and I think some other else will too. That those small things matter, and those small things lead to back to what we just said. That it'll make your life a whole lot easier with that work-life balance. And if you don't do that, it's going to go downhill. And then we talked about sports and kids, and again with that aspect, we talked about culture, we talked about community, we talked about how much that actually means to a lot of people. It still does mean something. I see a lot of people getting back into it. You see a lot of teams that used to be not successful and that are now. It starts at the bottom and ends up at the top, and they make it a community aspect. And if you don't do that, it's just not going to work at anything, sports, life, work. You don't impact the community, it's going to be not a success. And I'm seeing that kind of with a little bit of my work also. But that's a whole other story. And I told myself I never talk hard much about work on the show, but I did. Um, and then we took that. We talked about NIL, and we talked about high school transfer, and that's just our reality. And you'll I must say it, and you're gonna say it probably back. It's just life. It's reality. We can influence it. We can make somebody stay as much as they want. But until it gets a little bit of a system change, I have no opinion of it, but like, hey, have at it. Because we can't control it. Just like college, they can't control it. They don't have nothing to have it besides, you know, they're just using the system like the system has until the system gets fixed. Let them do it. If it's going to make you win
Yep.
better, take it. I will do everything legally in my power to win. And if that's what the system is, I'm going to abuse it, use it, and take advantage of it.
I'm on 2%, brother. So if
All
I cut
right.
off,
No, we're getting off here. Buddy,
all right,
I
man.
love you. It's good
Love you,
talk.
man.
And I'll let you know when this gets out. And this is the segment of where I bring a guest on and have great talk, great conversation about sports, real life, and all that beautiful conversation that goes on in our lives. This is Coach Mike. This is Mr. Slayton Beard, the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. Love you, brother. See you, man.
Okay. See you.
Hey, hey, what's up? That was a pretty cool little thing right there. I had a wonderful time with him. And, like we said right there, him and I used to have awesome coffee mornings together, mainly in the summertime. And we'd sit back for a couple hours, chit-chat about life, chit-chat about things, most of the time not even sports related. And it was just, and I hope you get that. I hope that, a lot of times that when I talk to him and to a lot of other people, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be real life conversations. It was awesome to hear, the first question I asked was, hey, your work-life balance is amazing. It's just something that I try to use and, pick his brain on how he does this and that. We've always picked each other's brains. It's the greatest thing to do with your friends and, colleagues and family and whoever, even maybe a stranger. And it was just a great time to go over things, re-talk what we have rehashed before, and share what our opinions were about some things like that. The one cool thing I like when I talk to people is how we have everything starting here, and then we'll talk right here at the end, and somehow everything's starting to link together. And it wasn't on purpose. This is unfiltered, unscripted. I don't do any editing whatsoever. I hit 1, 2, 3 buttons. I make some pretty transitions, and that's about it. And that's what's going to continue to be until who knows when. I love the fact that I can make this unscripted, unfiltered, and just have real conversation about anything. We could have talked about anything last night, and we did kind of in such a way. And, the big takeaways, again, I take from it is we talked about community. We talked about culture. We talked about the small things, just like I brought up in the Brewing Thoughts segment. We talked about a lot of different things that kind of led together. And it was just a great time. And I appreciate him tagging along, getting on. He'll be appearing sometime along down the road, too, again. I have a good plan of bringing some more people together. So I hope you all had a good time with this. Hope it's made your Friday a lot better. Hope that, get some use out of it. Get some use out of what you just watched. Get some use out of what you watched earlier with the Brewing Thoughts. Okay? Small things matter, folks. Small things matter. It's literally, small things is the great word of kindness that sometimes a lot of us just don't have. And, again, people could be having the worst day of their life. And you could be that spark to do that small little thing and say, hello, how you doing? You doing okay today? Do it to a stranger. I was at Save-A-Lot earlier. I saw a lady, and she just looked like she just wasn't having the best of day. I said, "Hey, ma'am, how you doing? You doing okay today? Need any help or anything?" She's like, "No, thank you, sweetheart." Did I make that lady's day? I have zero idea. Did I go my way to do it? Yeah. Did I do it purposely? Yeah. Do I want a pat on the back? No. But it's just a matter of like, it might be some type of spark that she gets that she might take an extra couple steps a little faster. Or she might be, "Hey, somebody noticed me." It's just stuff like that. It's those small little things that you can continue to do for someone on the daily, a friend, family member, colleague, stranger, anybody. Now, as they always say no to strangers. But we're adults. We should have a good mindset of who we should do that to and not do that to. So, but no, I appreciate you all. So, to end it, make this episode go bye-bye. Just do the cool things, man. It's not hard to make somebody else's day. It's not hard to go a little bit out of your way. And it's not hard to do the small things. So, next week's episode, I'm looking for people. Okay, I've asked people, and I haven't got really declined, but just don't know yet answer. So, might be looking for somebody next week. If you'd like to join along, send me a message. Okay, try to do something cool. But in the meantime, have a good rest of your week. Happy Valentine's Day. On Sunday, happy Get Chocolate for 50% off day. Okay, but no, again, as always, be somebody that somebody needed today. This is Coach Mike with the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. See ya. Bye-bye.